Hello guys, and welcome back to Strategic Command World War II World at War with our first ever PvP, where I am playing the Axis and SirTravis is playing the Allies. It is October 27th, we've moved into this last episode, and we've begun moving German units into position, getting ready for the operation into France. Code Blue, was it? I think so. I think that was the name for it. He's been a little aggressive over in China, namely, he's been aggressive here where I have the least amount of units. Pretty much falling for this bait. He's attacked. And look, he's lining up even more units. He lost 3, and he only really took 1 out of me. And he's using armies. So that's a pretty good odds, pretty good trade to be having. He's pretty much falling for the bait, diverting his MPPs to a place where I'm not even focusing. Speaking of, let's start things a little fresh today, and let's start by going into Japan, where we are immediately going to take our bombers and resume bombing the Changsha Defense Force Corps, because this is my target. He's moved his interceptors into an interception range. Our escorts, which are superior to his, are flying. We dealt 1 damage to his fighters. We took 1 damage, so that's unfortunate. No direct damage dealt to the bombing, but entrenchment was reduced. Readiness and morale vastly reduced. We will also bomb with the tactical bombers. No damage on either side, but once again, readiness and morale of the target has been lost, and we can now start dealing some damage. So let's go ahead and take the 34th Army and attack. 1 damage dealt. Unfortunately, 1 taken. These trades are not working out as well as I would like. 13th Army dealing 3 damage and losing none. This enemy's entrenchment is now finally completely wiped out. We're going to move the 11th Regional Army southwest, trying to get here so we can wrap around and start attacking from 2 different angles at once, because this right here, Changsha, is my point of priority. It is where I am focusing. I will reinforce the 6th Army here, get it back up to strength fully in case he wants to be aggressive anymore. Same thing here, I could go for 2 kills, but if he is being aggressive, I'm just going to reinforce, because hopefully then he will focus on these units and then be less productive for himself. Down south by Nanning, he's chosen to march one of his corps up into this field around Nanning. I don't believe he understands. He doesn't know. He doesn't have the range to tell that this army's here. So I think he's trying to gather corps either defensively or offensively. But putting it in a field was a big mistake, because it's a corps. I have an upgraded Korean army here, so I think I can afford to be a little aggressive to chip away at his MPPs, hopefully, to scare him, to get him to not respond so aggressively to Changsha where I'm focusing. So we're going to move up. And we now have stuck this army right in his face. And we can attack, but it's going to be 3-1. So we would still lose 1 if we did go on this blitz attack. Still, I think it is worth the shock value. So we're going to go ahead and attack. We dealt 4 damage. We took 2. So that went better and worse than I expected. So he'll have to reinforce this. He might feel emboldened here, which I wouldn't be too unhappy with, because it would take attention away from Changsha. And right now, again, my biggest target is Changsha. Then I want to move to Henyang, Kuilin, like this. Anywhere I can get him to focus on that is not here is better, because I don't have an MPP shortage limiting me here. I'm diverting enough resources to ensure I can take that. The only other thing I could really do to strengthen here is add more air. And that is a long-term process that includes requisitioning air forces. There was no progress on the DEI this turn, so all of our chits are already assigned as Japan. There's nothing else to really change there. I can get research done this turn very easily. It's either that or purchasing new units. I want to get research assigned as soon as possible, because Japan's not in a rush. Japan's in a slog of a front with enough units assigned there for right now. Maxing out research would be really good, because this is how we can get advantages in this front in the long run. And the most important things I think I can get here are going to be command and control and infantry weapons. I've really come to value infantry weapons especially, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to pour some research into infantry weapons, add that into the line this turn. We have 89 MPPs remaining, and that's all going to go into operational stuff. For example, we can free up over here the 2nd Kwantung Army over by Yankee. If we operate that for 27 MPPs, I can get it right here and then end up kind of filling in this front. Or even just having it here would work enough in case he tries to be aggressive over here, can respond to either side, because everything else has enough units that can otherwise be reached. Well, maybe wrapping around here with more armies and less cores would be better as well. What are we going to be freeing up this turn? I could free up, not exactly 2, not without operating, and I've been trying to avoid doing that. But we can definitely free up the one at Yankee. So we'll free up the one at Yankee, and we'll put it up here as far as it can get down, so it can respond either west or south wherever it's needed. But it's in a pretty defensive position behind a river. Everything around here is a field, so it doesn't really get much better than this. And now I'm going to do a thing that I think might only work specifically because I'm dealing with a player. I'm going to force march the 21st Army down here. And so I'm going to force march the 1st Corps up here. So this is still defended, but I don't think he'll understand that this is weakened, and I don't think he'll act on it. And then we'll have 2 armies down here to really brace for anything that he throws down here and to make sure we hold on to this, because this is very, very important, this area, for holding on here. I can always send this corps there as well if needed, or here, like I did last time, to land and reinforce this and step on Hong Kong if needed. But over here, the manpower is fine for taking Changsha. Also, I just remembered, I think I noticed this way earlier in the PvE, but I just noticed how this corps is here and really doesn't need to be here. It doesn't have any fucking supply. It's not in a position that needs to be defended for any reason, so we're just gonna move that down the road slowly, get that kind of moving away. 62 MPPs remaining. I think losing this 5 MPPs won't be that big of a deal in exchange for operation, because he'll see this unit. He's in 2, he can see that far, and so he'll also see if I do this. So now this front is pretty well reinforced. It would be very hard for him to make any kind of breakthrough here. If he tries to go on the offensive, we have everything fully in hand now. I'll just operate the 4th garrison the rest of the way over to Manchuria. This is why I wish distance mattered more than anything else. We'll force march this garrison onto Yankee. Everything that needs a hex next to it is taken care of. I believe we're doing well there. Yeah, USSR 20%. I believe that's well under control. There'd be a pop-up if it was like Japanese weakness, because I saw that in my PvE, and that helped mobilize my USSR. He can't see over here at the moment, so I'm gonna do a thing. I'm gonna move this garrison up here. I'm gonna move the HQ down here, garrison there. So they're gonna basically swap what points they're taking care of, the partisan points, because I want better supply here for one, but also I want this one to be able to take care of more units over here, as we're going to be stretching and extending our lines more and more by throwing more infantry down here, plus the air. And that's going to begin to stretch us without command and control researched. 30 MPPs remaining is Japan. I will use it to upgrade this corps right here with infantry weapons level 1. That's 15, because this corps is going to make its way down here and replace it relatively soon. Otherwise, I will hold on to my 15 MPPs because we want to make sure we can adjust and handle whatever he might choose. You know what, actually? Let's upgrade this corps. Yeah, because this one might deploy here. This is a logical place for it to deploy, is somewhere around here to be a further reinforcement to the area. We just have to figure out where and then find the perfect time to send it. Upgrading armies comes first. Infantry weapons level 1, anti-air, get that upgraded. There you go. 8th Army, anti-air, infantry weapons, 38 MPPs. We're down to 132. 14th Army. And now I may end up giving mobility to some of these armies, because think about it like this. As Germany, you know, I'm not deploying Yugoslavia. I'm not deploying Turkey. There will be DEI, but they already start leaning towards us, and it's primarily Japan's MPPs going into it. So there's less units I'm purchasing from these guys. There's less upgrading to do to their units. Getting mobility on some of mine, especially my armies, might be very handy to get them from that 3 to 4 action points to make them a lot more mobile. It would be far less than I would invest into other things anyway, and there will be other preparations as well. But I'm not going to do those investments right now. Because, again, right now, I think the most important thing is just getting there. Why is this one fully used? Because it was too far and they had to move it? Is that why? It's probably why. We won't need every single corps on the front immediately. That is not how it will go. But ground attack weapons for a medium bomber. Naval weaponry is really optional, but it can definitely come in handy in the future. It's not crazy expensive. I'll go ahead and get that. Other bombers are mostly reinforcing. The bombers are more needed on the front as soon as possible than the corps are. So I will prioritize the air. But the rest of what we have now is cores, and we have 49 MPPs remaining. Operation can be done basically whenever, so long as we're on decent supply. So let's take the first core here and upgrade that. Anti-air infantry weapons, 26 remaining. 13th core, anti-air infantry weapons. There you go. And so I have used all my MPPs that I currently have. These ones still need to be upgraded, so we're just going to force march these ones west. They have great mobility at the moment, so we might be able to avoid doing an operation of them in general. And the same could be said for these ones, potentially. Actually, you know what I really want to do with these ones? I want to swap them into these defenses so I can upgrade the ones here. So I will probably just move them down here like this. Again, this is going to be clogged when we first go into it. So having every core there as soon as possible is really not my concern. So we're gonna force march these ones that are already upgraded west, and we'll use them to swap things in and out. On this side, this army will have to move eventually, but I don't know when. Here's what I'll do, actually. I'll take this core, we're gonna move it here, and then we're gonna swap with this. So we still retain a decent amount of entrenchment everywhere. This army is where I want an army to be eventually, and this core can help surround this mine. In case he moves anybody forward to try to take it, we could beat him up. Otherwise, it can get some upgrades along with everything else. Other than that, we're going to take these Luftwaffe fighters and we are going to move them right here next to these two HQs where they should be well taken care of. So looking at Italy, I remember having a lot of trouble down here by Tobruk with this already injured unit where supply keeps lacking as time goes by because of Malta. So I think what I want to do actually is I want to reinforce that early so that I just don't need to worry about it. So we'll take the first army here. 35 MPPs to transport it. We'll just like force transport it all the way down here. And now we can put it right there and then shift it into Tobruk. So we have an army here. So this is going to be well defended. Additionally, I'm going to take the 4th garrison. I'm going to start force marching it northwest to end up freeing up Tripoli, so that I can send this army east as well. So we'll just have like 3 armies there immediately, 2 of which are not fully strength, but that's okay. Ready to meet the marching Egyptians as I deal with Malta. With my remaining MPPs, we will reinforce the 1st squadron of fighters, and then we only have 20 left. At that point, we can reinforce this core, because this core is mainly going to be on a defensive front. I don't plan on having Italy really march in and take stuff. I'm focusing Italy entirely on this stuff. Again, they probably will start the war in Greece. Greece probably will happen because I think that guarantees Bulgaria joining. I'm already handling this in a way to give Germany time to conquer Greece anyway, so it's fine. It'll work out. We'll take the 1st garrison out of here, out of Syracuse. We'll just send it up here. I don't know where it's going yet. We'll send it up there. We'll force march this core down here for right now. Defensive fixture for the time being until I'm ready to send it somewhere else. Still a core on Rome. That's probably going to stay pretty static there. Oh, and I can also take the 10th garrison and reinforce them up to full as well. Sure, why not? Don't really know what good that's going to do, but yeah, let's do it. And with that, we've done everything that we are going to do this turn. So let's go ahead and hit end turn and send that over to Travis. Allied raiders disrupt Norway, Germany convoys. Really? They are? I didn't see any. That must be pretty far up north. Infantry weapons development for Italy. Wow, that's going really quickly, actually. I'm very glad that I kind of focused on that. Well, it's unfortunate that they're still raiding that. Keeping an eye over it is hard. Makes me definitely want to just take over Norway by force anyway. It's a hard offer to refuse. It really is. But that's that. So I will send this turn over to Travis, and then we'll continue when he sends it back. Alright guys, we got the turn back from SirTravis. Let's go ahead and hit play on that. Load it up, and we'll see what he did. We've had some more discussion, of course. We're having a ton of that. We're planning on doing these, like, yearly get-togethers in the game every time we cross into a new year, where we just talk about how everything leading up to there went. So I think that should be pretty interesting. So we could both, like, share our thoughts on things that have happened, and maybe things that don't get a lot of attention in the background, maybe. But let's load up the replay here and see what he did. So immediately putting me in China, probably some reinforcement or something going on here. I'm not sure if I regret sending up this unit here like I did. feel like it was, or like, I don't know if it was good enough. Are you trying? Wait, what the fuck? Is he trying to strap bomb the mine? Ooh, we just took 3 damage. He took 3 damage. Yeah, he's trying to strap bomb the mine. Okay, that's one way to handle that mine. Hi, boy. I have 2 fighters here. I was ready for this. These are British. These are all British fighters and bombers. He's taking 5 damage to this fighter now. None to the bomber. But he's dealt a total of 4 here. He's being very aggressive. I've been learning this. I could tell he'd be very proactive. I knew he would do this. Oh my god, dude. Travis is such an aggressive player. Fighting an AI is nothing like fighting Travis, but I can see that he's aggressive. I can see how he does all of this. So, I think I'm starting to learn how he plays. He's going on offensives in fronts where he's on the defensive. It's crazy. But I like it because I know how he plays now. So we should expect this to be a high attriting rate here. Let's see. Ooh, okay. Okay. He's pushing Ireland towards the Allies. He's pushing Iraq towards the Allies. Oh, that's really interesting. And China's pushing Persia towards the Allies. What the fuck? Dude, he just got so much progress there. Ireland, Persia, Iraq. That means a lot of things. That means a whole lot of things. Okay, you know what? That explains a reaction he had to me. I mentioned to him that it was an event for taking over Iran, and he's like, oh, I didn't know that. Well, I understand why he responded like that now, because he's already put chits, probably multiples of chits, maybe 150 MPPs for all I know, by this point, into Persia. So, I don't know if that changes his plans, if he will try to just take them over with the event now, or I guess he might just want them to join. He's investing very heavily into diplomacy, it seems. And we'll look at that in a bit, but let's see. Axis are advised to respect the neutral Western Hemisphere. The U.S. Secretary of State has communicated to us the following statement through the American Charge d'Affaires in Berlin. U.S. government has adopted a declaration of general neutrality and established a naval Pan-American security zone. The zone averages 300 miles in width and runs south from the city of Halifax through to the Caribbean and west of the Panama Canal. It's requested that all warring nations refrain from any belligerent activity within the zone. The zone is marked by the icons of ships with the U.S. flag. Recommendation: refrain from naval activity within the zone as it may encourage U.S. war mobilization. Note: Mexico may also react negatively to operations in this zone. So that's actually really funny though, because like the UK, well, historically in France, they have stuff over here. So it's like, yeah, I don't care if they have stuff, just stay away. So as I was saying, Travis he doesn't want to sit around and wait until he's in a position to go on an offensive. He even said to me, he doesn't want to be sitting around doing nothing. And this can really be reflected. You know, he's spending British MPPs, sending submarines, you know, out here into the North Sea. He has a submarine up here, for fuck's sake. He's doing as much as he can to raid what is literally just 30 MPPs a turn. He's, you know, getting his carriers hurt. He's sending bombers and fighters here, which are going to start taking big damage just to try to bomb a single mine. It reduces my MPPs gained a little bit, but the reinforcement of those planes, that's going to hurt. And he doesn't have a lot of income at the beginning of the game. The Allies get their income later, you know, when America joins, when the USSR joins, things like that. When Lend-Lease starts, that's the important stuff. But he's being very aggressive, not just in gameplay, but diplomacy. You know, he's trying to go on a big offensive here, and now, you know, I've reinforced this, so he's not going to be too well off. We're in a marsh here. He's going after a guy in a marsh. Well, we're definitely just going to reinforce this guy, because we're staying defensive there. We're going to, this one, okay, this one's special, right? This one's a little bit different. But, you know, I can see what he's doing here. I feel like we shouldn't have moved up this far. It was worth a shot, but he's really, like, doubling, tripling down, whatever you want to say. Over here, he's going nuts, man. How should we handle this? So, 21st Army onto Pecoy. The mud is getting in my way when it comes to, like, retreating this unit, so I'll just reinforce it where it is. 8. Let him go on the offensive more. Because, again, we're an army. He's not. He has to attack across a river, so this won't be the best for him anyway. And eventually we'll just swap these guys out and we'll have just like a backup. Probably shouldn't have moved forward that much. Now I know. I didn't expect him to go that crazy over here, but yeah, he's being really aggressive and that's what we're learning. He's going on the offensive here. Now, so let's take a look at some other things. So, Iran. So he could have already gotten Persia for free, which he didn't seem to know. So he's already invested points into here. But he has a lot of work trying to get this to become 100% allies. So that just might be wasted MPPs and he might just go with taking it over later. Or he might want it to join normally and not be split between the UK and the USSR. Because that is 12th of August 1941, UK, USSR, both in allied hands, not surrendered. Persia's neutral, both Kuwait and Baku are in allied hands. Baku and Kuwait, yeah. So he would get the option to take this over in 41 no matter what. I don't know if he's going to stick to his plan of just trying to get them to join, but he's spreading himself out because he's not just going for Iran. He's going for Iraq as well, which right now is 29%. It moved like quite a bit, leading towards the Allies. When both Germany and Italy are Axis and not surrendered, Egypt and India are allied and not surrendered. So this will be in like 41. Iraq is politically aligned with the Allies, but not fully mobilized. Kuwait and Alexandria are in allied hands and the Axis have 1 to 2 units within 7 hexes of the Suez. Well, 71 if I can get close to the Suez. Then he'll get the option to economically sanction Iraq, otherwise they'll just join us just like that. And that's 140 MPPs to do. And they still, I think, end up joining us anyway. Yeah, they still end up joining us anyway. It just gets harder. We've seen that in the PvE. And so, if he spends all the money to just get them to join, he essentially gets to skip over that. And he just gets them to join. However, he's already getting the convoy from them. So, if he spends hundreds, even 1,000 plus MPPs maybe, depends how lucky he gets, to try to get Iraq to join, probably hundreds, but probably not over 1,000. He's not actually going to gain any additional MPPs. He's already getting the MPPs via this convoy line. So him investing here is only good for us, because if he sticks with it, well, if they fully join, then he spent all that MPPs for literally zero economic gain, more just military gain of getting to purchase Iraqi units. But his MPPs seem like they're getting spread pretty thin. Getting Iran to join could be useful to him, but again, he could have just gotten it by invasion. Getting them to join normally is of course better because he could purchase their units, but again, I think he's spreading himself very thin. So there's those two, and now we can look over here. He chose not to take the southern ports from Ireland. So he's instead trying to get them to join. Ireland, I don't think that's a big deal for us either. He'll get some additional ports. Okay, great. I don't plan on doing big naval things over here anyway. So that shouldn't really affect me a lot, except for like, oh, if he gets a destroyer injured, it will get back in the fight sooner if it joins. The military power he would get from Ireland, probably not a lot compared to what the UK can pump out, which already connects via Belfast. So I'm quite happy he's spreading himself this thin. If he goes to get these all the way to joining, it's either going to take a very long time, a lot of luck, or an insane amount of MPPs. So we're looking at 3 different nations. I did 2 as the Axis, remember? And that really took MPPs away from me. And even as the allies, like just getting like Finland to join, like it takes a lot to get one nation to join. And thankfully, 2 of them he's getting to join won't really help him, because he could have gotten them normally anyway. And then the other ones just, I guess it's a benefit, yeah. But it's not a big detraction for me. It's not in a position that would really hurt me. And then Iran, he'd get additional MPPs, but again, he could have gotten those MPPs anyway via takeover. So I'm very happy with this, because it means he's not going to have MPPs for other things. I think he's really stretching himself thin. I can't imagine he's building up his army as the UK right now. Can't imagine he's building up a bigger navy. And I can't imagine he's doing an insane amount of research if he's doing all this diplomacy. But let's reinforce the German fighters. Let's reinforce the other German fighters. Good thing I had 2 of them over here, because he's going crazy. We're going to want more over here for sure. This one can only get about this far at the start. I mean, that's fine. That's more than well enough supplied. Dortmund might also work, honestly. Yeah, let's fly him over down to Dortmund. He can still have full escort. So if he keeps trying to bomb SAR, he's gonna need to utilize French fighters too, and the French don't have MPPs to spare. I know, I've played them. And I don't know, I feel like this mine is not worth the amount of losses he's taking, but in his head it is. So if I consider it to be not worth it, then I guess that's only really a good thing, huh? We're gonna reinforce the Coast Guard sub back up to 10. We want to get that back into action as soon as possible. We do want to figure out what's over here, especially like right around here. So let's come over here, go down this line, and we can see this is pretty much clear for now. And so we got to get this sub somewhere it can reinforce. So let's send the Deutschland, who we have saved, over by... That's a safe little pocket, isn't it? Let's go over here to this safe little pocket. We'll send the U-32 down to Kiel. And we're not going to be able to force rush the Admiral Graf all the way down, unfortunately. We know he does have a sub operating in the region, which is unfortunate. See, I can't quite get far enough, and I don't have any air to try to protect this in case he tries to make a rush for it. We're only missing like 5 movement points away from where we're trying to get to, so we don't need to move like crazy much closer. But closer in general, especially where we could just kind of go in a straight line and map that, would be pretty good. So I'm going to come down here into the Norwegian Sea. Hopefully he doesn't just come up here and then run like that, you know? And then we're going to hopefully try to get the Admiral Graf to safety. Hopefully that works out. I really don't feel so bad about ignoring research and just kind of trying to rush the downfall of France at this point, especially with my minimal investment into diplomacy this time, mainly focusing on Japan and the DEI to kind of bypass the problems we'll encounter with America. It doesn't really bother me as much anymore because now I know how much he's stretching himself thin to try to be on the offensive. So we need these tactical bombers. They're going to be very, very necessary. Ground attack, naval, yeah, we'll give them both because we never know what we're going to need when we're dealing with him at this rate. We're going to need a lot of stuff. That much is obvious. So tactical bombers are fully upgraded. Medium bombers, we won't really need it over here. Just placing it all around here would work fine enough. We only have 2 armies that are not fully upgraded yet. That'll be this one, the 10th Army, and I can't even afford this one, the 3rd Army. So we're almost fully upgraded and kind of ready to go there. We have these corps that are rushing west, and not exactly sure where I'll put them. I might just toss them up here for now. We got these ones. I'm gonna generally move them at normal paces right now. Getting closer to this line where I'll swap them in, upgrade others, swap them in, that kind of thing. These corps are just gonna line up probably at the top because we have, again, 1, 2, 3, 4 armies that will be arriving. Imagine just in a straight line, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 2 tanks. Yeah, like we don't even need 2 corps to fill all this stuff up. We already have an army here. At least one of these armies, such as maybe this one, will be extra. It won't necessarily need to be there immediately. None of these armies really have a point to moving because I'm just gonna operate them all the moment I get a chance anyway. And with their movement, even with force marching, it's gonna take like 3 turns to get them into position versus operation will get them there pretty much immediately. The only person that maybe I should move are the tanks. With force marching, I can get them into position in 2 turns, meaning I can save the money on operating 2 tanks and still have them in position at the same time as everything else, which may or may not be when I launch this invasion, I don't know. We'll have to see how the winter looks, really. And maybe get a turn to get in some research of some kind. I'm not really sure about that one. But these 2 corps right here, I'm going to line them up near the top of the Netherlands because they'll just be up there. They're not needed anywhere else. They're really not. I'll operate all the armies. They're fine. Because, I don't really know exactly how this is going to go. I'm going to force march the tanks because let's just get them into position in a cheaper way since we have a far more active air front than I would have expected. He's just straight up strat bombing this mine. So we're going to have like a air battle over that, especially now I got another fighter. But he's going to be taking a lot of damage, which is really going to hold him back from really setting up anything else, which I'm quite happy about. This medium bomber has longer range than all my TAC bombers. Don't know if I'm going to leave it where I'm sending it, but we'll send it up to Hanover for right now to get it in position. I'm not going to bomb his front. That's a waste of MPPs. I'm trying to set up an invasion here, and I'm not going to be able to set it up any easier by bombing the Maginot or things behind it. I'm gonna leave the Slovakian Corps by Warsaw, this one over here by Modlin, because we need to leave like 2 over here after a point anyway. And I think this one at Kongsberg would actually count, but let's just not mess around with that. These corps can definitely get moving. They're not gonna be staying over here. Just a matter of where to send them. I guess behind the front over here. I feel like we have enough to do the swapping in and out that I want to do over here, so just force marching them to get them close to the rear of this front to kind of come in as reinforcements from behind could work. That could be a functioning idea. So that involves sending, say, the 1st Corps down to a similar place anyway. Let's send this Corps right next to it, because the less we have to operate, the better. And I could just save time or money by just force marching the whole way anyway, but I'm going for speed here. That's where my MPPs are. We want to just conquer this as fast as possible and make him spend as much MPPs here as is possible. But with that, we are out of time for this episode, so for now, thank you guys very much for watching, and we'll finish up this turn on the next episode.